Got it.
Yeah, so advisory is also like it can serve as a study hall, so you can work on your schoolwork from other classes. Sometimes you can organize your binder or backpack if it's getting kind of full with old papers, then you can clean it out, or you can put the right tabs. Um, Advisory, it's like a safe place. So if you need to talk about like how you're feeling or like your opinion, you can always share that to your advisor. You also have your lovely guidance counselor and school psychologist for that. But an advisory is always a safe place that you can talk about things. Some fun things I remember doing is we did a pumpkin decorating contest in 6th grade where we would like paint different pumpkins for Halloween, and it was really, really fun. And Lena told you guys about the making cards for the military, which was also really fun, like holiday cards. There's Valentine's Day. And then also in 6th grade, we had little rocks that we would paint and say like inspirational sayings on them, or we would put some positive things on them and like put them around the hallways or in the library. And you could, like, if someone found them, it would be a cool start to your day or something like that, and kind of give you an upbeat feeling. So yeah, those are some of the fun things we did.
And advisory, I don't know if one of you said advisory meets twice a cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We have exploratory classes in, okay. We have, Mr. Agnello?
Yes.
Miss Krieg would like a Brian Parker.
It's already. I took care of it all. We're all good.
He'd like to be the co-host.
It's all. I took care of it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Okay, so in middle school we have exploratory classes, and we have the 8th graders who are going to explain them. In 6th grade, there's health, computers, art, and technology. And we have Cece that is going to explain health class.
So health is one of the exploratory classes, and some things you do in health is like you learn about like nutritional foods and like what's good to put into your body, and you learn about like vaping and like alcohol and why it's like bad for you and stuff like that. And you get like some things I remember is like to like you keep track of like you have a food log or something, and then you keep track of like the food you eat, and you also have like a journal where you are able to write. Mr. Marino, which is the health teacher, he asks you questions and you answer the questions in your health journal, and like it's like your personal, you can write anything into the journal and no one else is going to see it, and you can just put whatever you want into it, and you also take notes on what you learn in class in the journal.
Great. And then we have computer class. Let's start, I think Gabe and Gamanu are going to speak about that. So whoever wants to start first.
I can go first. So for computers, I remember we had to code a game, and we did a lot of different kind of coding experiments. For our final project, we had to actually code like a video game in 6th.
And Gamanu, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, last year we also did something called Code HS, which teaches you how to code in Python. You also learn how to browse the internet safely and learn about your digital footprint, which is like how like people can find out if you post something bad, like it will get found out. So you get to learn about like being safe on the internet.
Great. And remember, everyone but my 8th graders are going to be on mute right now, okay? Alex, can you talk about our art class?
Yes. First, I just want to say it's a different art teacher now, so some of this information might not be right, but I'm going to say what I remember. We both do art, and we learn about art. And art, normally the way a project goes is that first we learn about the background of that type of art, like, what's it called, like cityscapes, like comic art, and then as we go along, we start working on a main project, which can be either like a comic strip, a picture of a city, castle, self-portraits, or just modern art. And then that's how it normally goes with a project. Occasionally we do. What's it called? Occasionally we go back and revisit art. Later on, we like take a break from it.
Okay.
So it's just like a lot of different arts we do. I'm
Perfect.
trying to think. It's been a while.
Perfect. All right.
That's really the basic gist.
Okay. Matt, let's talk about technology.
Okay, so tech is not actually like computers, because I mean it sounds like tech. It's like computers and that sort of thing, but it's really more of like a building engineering class, I guess, and you use like computers sometimes. So I guess tech can sort of slide in there. Like sixth grade we made like duct tape wallets. That was fun. Seventh grade we made like bridges, clocks. Do like nameplates, if I'm not mistaken, in sixth grade. You do like a whole bunch of stuff, like carved wooden like plates on like you design them on like a computer. Very interesting. You could do like long-term projects. You'll just sit at your table, work quietly. You talk to people. It's a nice environment. I think it's a pretty fun class too. Since it's an exploratory, you don't really get any homework. So it's fun. So if you like engineering, that's probably going to be a class you'll like.
Good. All right. Thank you. Now, there's also foreign language in the middle school. If Danny, you could tell us about the 3 foreign languages that are offered, and then just speak about the language that you take.
Yep. So basically, the 3 languages that you can take Latin, Spanish, or French. I take Spanish. It's really fun. The teachers are just like really interactive with you. They really help you learn the language. And then Latin, I don't think is really a spoken language anymore. If you're like more interested in that, then I would definitely go Latin. But if you're interested in actually like speaking the language, then I'd definitely go French or Spanish.
Okay, good. Then we have PE and music, and Michael.
Yeah.
There you are. Okay.
So I'll start with gym. Gym is, well, you guys obviously said gym in wherever school you came from, most likely. Those of you that came from Bronxville, it's not totally that different. Of the 4 teachers, Senior, McGovern, Fisher, and Varian, they're all pretty good teachers. Some of the teachers are going to focus on more like the difference from gym of middle school and difference from elementary school. It's kind of the activities you do. So some of the teachers are going to be focusing more on like actual sports like football or like kickball or something like that. While other teachers, like, I mean, you're probably all familiar if you were here in elementary school, like the game fun ball. Some teachers will do that more often. But overall, it's a pretty good class. Go gym, I still enjoy it. For music is really fun. I'm in orchestra. I play the cello. The teacher's really great for orchestra, and from what I've heard for band, the teacher's also pretty great. From chorus, I've heard that chorus is really fun. But yeah, all in all, it's a fun exploratory.
Hey, Isabel or Gracie, do you guys take chorus? Isabel, can you talk about chorus a little bit?
Yeah. So usually in chorus we sing a lot, but I don't know if we're doing that this year because it would be hard with the mask and all of that. But you learn a lot about music theory, and you learn about notes and the values of notes and pitch. And one of my favorite units actually is every year we do an opera unit, and we get to learn about different opera turns. And sometimes we watch an opera, which is really cool to see all of the costumes and the sets. So yeah, that's a little bit of that.
Great. All right, we are going to talk about some of the exciting clubs that the middle school offers. One of the things we're going to start with is the MSO. And Lena and Gracie are going to split that and talk about that. And not only what MSO is, but some of the fun activities that come out of MSO for the school.
So MSO is a club where you can
you can use your voice and like do proactive change in the school. What you want to see, you can make a difference in the school. And they also plan events like the ugly sweater contest was one of them in the winter. And during quarantine, we did a thank you project for all the frontline heroes. And it's a club where you can make a difference in the school.
And when does that meet?
Last year it met every Thursday.
Every Thursday at lunchtime, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Gracie, you can add to MSO, or you can start to talk about some of the other clubs that the middle school has run in the past, and hopefully they will be running this year.
So another one of the clubs is called the Bronxville Gallop, which is the newspaper. And that's a club where if you really enjoy writing or drawing, you can join that club, and you can put it in the newspaper where all your classmates will be able to read it or see it. All the clubs are really inviting, and you can join them at any time of the year. And you can also stop doing it if you don't feel it's like the right club for you. We also have a lot of really nice community service opportunities, like going to the soup kitchen, which I did, and it was really fun to get to serve all the people there. Due to what's happening this year, we don't know if they're going to be available physically, but you might be able to do them virtually, which is still going to be really cool, and you can always plan for what you want to do in the future.
And there were two more clubs I wanted to talk about. So there's a sign language club where you can learn sign language and you don't need any experience. So that's a fun club. And then there's also the art club, which last year met after school, not at lunch, like most of the others. And you have access to some art supplies that you might not have at home. And you can do fun projects and be really creative. Last year they did some projects like they painted teacher portraits, and they also created an art club logo.
We also have the after school clubs, which is the Basque clubs, but it's called after ninth and middle school. Can someone talk about, did you guys do one of the clubs virtually?
I did one of the clubs virtually.
Okay, go ahead, Alex.
I did Bronco TV, which is a middle school version of the high school Bronco TV virtually. We either filmed stuff on our own for that one when we were at home, or we did it in Zoom meetings. That's really all we did. I'm assuming other clubs went in a similar way like that.
We will see what clubs will be offered after school. Your parents will get an email listing all the clubs, but I know for a fact that there is one called Homework Club, and in Homework Club you get to have high schoolers help you with your homework, and Ms. Tomlin is going to run that this year for the first semester. Everyone sees her thumbs up, so that's another after school club that would be fun to join. I think we did enough about clubs, but we're going to get into something called time management. We all need to learn about time management, and we have, go ahead, Gracie, talk about time management.
So time management is really important. It's when you have to separate your time kind of being with friends and doing after school things, and then also having enough time to get your schoolwork done. So I like to kind of set up a schedule so you have a certain time every day where you can do your work, and then that you have more time to have free time. And having a good schedule and having good time management will really make your middle school experience a lot easier, and you'll find that you have a lot more time to do activities, and you won't be stressed out about finishing your work.
Good. Go ahead, Gamanu, you want to add to that?
Yeah, one thing that can help you with time management is using your homework roster. You can use your homework roster to write down assignments and when they're due, and you can use that to plan out when you're going to do certain assignments and it will help you be able to manage your time and get things done when you want to.
Good. Matt, since you were going to talk about the homework roster and homework, why don't you just add on to that?
Okay, so I'm sure like you're all wondering like what the homework load is, I guess, for when you enter middle school. I mean, for me, it really wasn't that bad. It sort of, I guess, depends on class or whatever, things like change. But, I would say number one thing that screwed people up was they didn't see there was homework, because some teachers forget to write it on like, teachers write it on like their board or whatever, but like I recommend always checking the roster every night, because if it's not like, that's like the like the Bible of homework basically. It's just like where all the information is. So like I guess if it's not there, then the teachers can't really get you in trouble for not doing it, because that's like one place where all like homework and project related things will go.
Right, and that's for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, the homework roster. You mentioned an assignment pad. Karen, can you talk about the assignment pad?
So something that looks kind of like this, just a little notebook, could be your assignment pad, and the school's not giving them out this year. And so this will keep like a 5-week, Monday through Friday assignment for your homework. And so most teachers write it up on the board and you copy it down right as you get in. And so you'll copy it down into this notebook. And then if they don't put it on the homework roster, you should have it right here. And then it can look anything, even up to like this size, but just always keep it with you. It really helps you a lot through your school.
Excellent. Since we're on organization, there will be no lockers this year for middle school, but Michael is going to talk about the importance of organizing your binders and your backpacks.
All right. So talking about binders are like, organization is honestly key. It's something I wish I knew at the start of 6th grade. You definitely want to know what you have to do, when it's due, kind of bullet points, I guess. A tip that I would do, I do it now, but I wish I knew in the start of 6th grade, would just be actually keep a binder for every class. I mean, a lot of how I started and how a lot of people started, and people aren't actually, like, I know a lot of people that have done binders for every class, but a lot of people start with like an AM binder and a PM binder for morning classes and afternoon classes. But that said, like when you have like social studies, English, and math in the morning, you're going to have a lot to keep track of. I suggest you want to know what you have to do, what's priority, and when you want to do it, I guess, is how I'd put it.
Okay, good. And I'm sorry, I was looking at something else. Did you talk about the importance of keeping your backpack organized also?
Yeah, that's also really important. I mean, you obviously don't want you obviously don't want papers like falling at the bottom of your backpack and being crushed. That's very important. You want to have, I mean, the way I have it, and most backpacks have is like I have like 3 different like compartments, and I usually put my binders in my main one, my like planner and like pencil holder, and other ones. It's just you want to know what you're keeping in your backpack, and you want to know what you're keeping in classes. Obviously, though, this year backpack is going to be very important because we're working out of our backpacks. But certainly just keep an eye on. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That was great. Let's see. Let's talk about, Cece, can we talk about Infinite Campus a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So Infinite Campus is a website where you'll be able to check your grades, and you'll be able to check your grades for every class. Like if you have an assignment due and you haven't gotten your grade back yet, most likely the grade will be on Infinite Campus. And that's where also you'll be getting your schedule for each quarter, because your exploratory changes, so you can look on there for your schedule. But you can, once school starts, you can look at on Infinite Campus to check your grades every day.
Okay, great. And Austin, extra help. It's not going to be in person, it's going to be virtual, but can you talk about the importance of extra help and what is it?
Okay, so extra help is that's before the school starts. Basically, if you have problems with homework or like you need help with an upcoming test or anything, you can go to your teacher before class starts and like work on it, get stuff done.
Good. And all the teachers are there to help you if there's something that you don't understand.
Like it's 7:45 to 8.
Right. Okay. We didn't talk about independent reading. Kieran, do you want to talk about that?
So IR is independent reading, and so every month you'll be assigned a book or you can choose a book. And so in 6th grade you mostly get assigned like you get to choose from 6 books, and they're typically in the same genre. Some of those months you can pick free choice, but in the middle of the year or at the end of the year, you start reading a book called Wrinkle in Time, and I'm sure some of you have heard of it, and it's a fun read, and
Kieran?
you can listen to the audiobook for it.
Kieran, they changed that last year. They did The Giver last year.
Oh, well, maybe they switch it every year, and yeah, but you'll read a book like The Giver or Wrinkle in Time, or a new book.
Or something else. Yep. Perfect.
Also, AR360 tests.
Yeah, I was just about to get to that. AR360 test, at the end of every month, you can write a paragraph on your test, which is 8 to 10 sentences, and it should include a quote. And there's something called the STAR test, but you don't take it. And you go to AR360, and it's just like a 10-question test to see if you read the book and how you liked it, and you answer some questions on it.
Great.
Standardized test with 10 or 20 questions, depending on the book.
Okay. Let's say
all multiple choice.
All multiple choice. Oh, that's good. If you're late in the morning, where do you go and what do you do? Connor?
So if you're late in the morning, which happens to everyone, you will go to the front, the middle school office, which is just at the entrance of the flagpole. And then you can just go in and ask Miss Creek. She's the secretary there, and she gives you a late pass, and then you can just go to your class. But you have to watch out for how many times you're late a quarter, because I believe if you're late 5 times a quarter, you get a lunch detention.
Okay.
Which like basically just makes you so you can't go out to lunch or like be with your friends.
Okay. Right, but I know that everyone is going to be on time because you're so excited to get to school in the morning. Right, everybody? Thumbs up? I don't see any, I see a few thumbs. Okay. Biggest difference between 5th and 6th grade. Cece, what's the biggest difference? And if anyone wants to add on after Cece speaks, 8th graders, please do.
Well, I know one of the biggest changes for me was having a different teacher for every subject or every class, and kind of like keeping all my work in one binder is kind of, well, not hard, but like I just had to get used to keeping my binder organized and keep making sure that each of my subjects in my binder were separated to have all my work together. And yeah, that's all. That was the biggest change for me.
Anybody else? Go ahead, Matt, and then Gracie.
Another thing, this sort of is what Cece said, but science becomes like a main class, like it was like a special before, but now science becomes like it becomes the same level as like social studies, English, and math. So, and those are going to be like your main classes that you, have every day, I think, for doing it on like the schedule from last year. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Gracie, and then Isabel, and then Lena.
I would also say that you have a lot more responsibility, but that also comes with a lot more freedom. So you get to do a lot more things on your own, and you have a lot of more opportunities to do services. And once you get to 7th grade and the end of 6th grade, I think you get to start going out to lunch, which is really fun, and you get to do a lot more things with your friends. And it also comes with a lot of trust, so you want to make sure that you honor those responsibilities.
Also, I believe in elementary school you had to take either band or orchestra and music or chorus, whatever you called it, where you sang. But in middle school, you can only take one of those. So either band, orchestra, or chorus. You can't take band or orchestra and chorus.
Okay, go ahead, Lena.
Another big change is, I think in elementary school, you are always supervised by a teacher, but now you walk between classes, and it's your responsibility to get to your next class on time. And even though you won't be watched in the hall, you can't misbehave or anything.
Okay, good. Anybody, any other eighth graders that I might not see your hands? You can just chime in. Okay. You know what we didn't talk about that I forgot? Is Sam on, is the eighth grader Sam on to talk about long-term projects? I'm not sure if Sam's here. No?
I'm not here. Someone else could do it, maybe.
Okay, Connor, do you want to talk about long-term projects?
Sure. So sometimes along with like just regular everyday classes and like homework and stuff, they'll give you like a month long to do a project, and sometimes they'll give you I think someone said that in advisory they give you like a study hall sometimes, so you could use that time to do a long-term project and other stuff. And I know Dr. Katz gives a current events assignment every single month that you have to turn in at the end of the month, and you just basically search up an article about what's going on in the world right now, and then you just write about it. And then other classes, like science, you might do like an experiment where you do many trials and stuff. And then that's all I really remember.
Okay, good.
For those of you who don't know, Dr. Katz is a 7th grade social studies teacher, by the way.
Right, and we might have some 7th and 8th graders who are on Zoom. Okay, so the one last question I'm going to ask my 8th graders to talk about is, what do you wish someone would have told you about middle school? Austin, do you want to start that? And then we could go from there.
Okay. So one of the biggest things is to not stress out about a lot of things. And it's a big transition from 5th to 6th grade, and there's a lot of changes, and you might stress out. But let's say you can't like find your class, or you can't unlock your locker. There's students, there's teachers, you have the guidance counselors. We're more than glad, happy to help you.
Good. Any other 8th graders want to add in? Go ahead, Connor, and then Kieran.
Just make sure you have all your stuff for class, because sometimes you should probably write down what you need for class, like at the start of the school year. The teachers will probably tell you what you need every day for class. So just make sure you have it, because then it's not going to be a fun class if you don't have all your stuff.
Okay, go ahead, Kieran, and then Michael, and then Isabel.
So always use the strengths of your guidance counselor. If you have no clue where you're going, just know them and they'll tell you where to go. On the second class of my first day there, I don't know where I went. I just sat outside the class. I had no clue, but then I went in and I asked the guidance counselor, and then they brought me to the class, and I was actually on time.
You know what? Those guidance counselors and school psychologists must be fabulous. They are so helpful. You guys are so lucky to have guidance counselors like Ms. DeSanto, Mr. Agnello, and school psychologist Ms. Tomlin. Okay.
And just so you guys know, I know we haven't been able to do a tour of the building, but our office for the counselors is basically as soon as you come in the flagpole door. So I think there was one other hand up, right?
Isabel, were you going to say something?
Michael and Michael and Matt too.
Okay, go ahead. Isabel, Michael, Matt.
Something that I wish that I knew when I was going into sixth grade, and actually all of middle school, is that you really need to keep track of your stuff, and specifically pencils, because I feel like I'm always asking someone for a pencil. So keep track of specifically your pencils.
Very good. All right, Michael.
Okay, so I can't believe this didn't come up yet, but bathrooms and water becomes like a problem because teachers like sometimes are not very amused when you have to leave like their classroom for like 5 minutes in like the middle of a thing.
Right, because usually bathrooms and water you're supposed to get during when? During passing, correct?
Like in between classes. I mean, I guess some teachers are like more lenient than others or whatever. I mean, I could kind of take the student side because we only have like 4 minutes or something.
Okay.
So it's hard. And then you kind of choose between risking being late. But
All right, well, we can work that out with the teachers. Go ahead, Michael. I think you're off mute now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. So one thing I should have known is like from the biggest transition from middle or elementary school to middle school for me was like, I guess in elementary school when you like, I don't know, if you turned in a homework late or you like if you turned in a homework late or something like that, you know, it would be like no big deal. But for middle school, it's certainly like in my first quarter, my grade point average got dropped down because of like small little mistakes. For example, like homework. And the second quarter, when I realized that, it went up a lot. So what I'm trying to say is like the little things matter more. Certainly homework, and yeah, that's it.
Okay, good. Go ahead, Gracie.
I would just say about like one thing for the water. If you do know that like you need water a lot, a good tip is just to pack a water bottle when you're at home, so you don't have to worry too much about going in between classes, and it makes it a lot helpful if you have it with you at all times.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so I think we are going to start with some questions that are in the chat. Ms. Tomlin is going to help me with that. But also remember, I made an announcement that after all the questions and the sixth graders are dismissed, the new 7th and 8th graders can stay to ask specific questions about 7th and 8th grade. But we have lots of questions to go through. Please put them in the chat. And Ms. Tomlin, do you want to start and then our 8th graders will answer them?
That sounds great.
Yeah, just hang on one second. So I turned the chat back on. I had to turn it off because people were not behaving properly. So you will be held accountable if you can't behave in the chat.
Oh, absolutely. The chat is for questions only. Appropriate questions.
There are some conversations here, so I'm just going to scroll down here. So there's a question about what will band be like?
Okay, so what 8th grader is taking band? Let's see a hand. Any 8th graders taking band? Just unmute. Go ahead, Charlie, unmute.
We can't hear him again. A little louder, Charlie?
No, oh, bummer. Okay. Matt, do you take band? Okay, go ahead, Matt.
So band is really fun, you know. It's a pretty like easygoing class, you know, it's mostly participation. You know, you just play during the period, you know, you learn about different notes and things, you know. It's like not everyone's going to be at the same level, you know, because of like lessons and stuff, but Miss Karkala, the teacher, if I'm not mistaken, she's like really good. she makes sure that everyone like understands what she's teaching before she goes on. So I don't think there will be issues with people like falling behind, because of like different levels and stuff.
Okay,
You
great.
have notes, styles, that sort of thing. I do jazz band too. I don't know how we're doing that, but it's pretty fun.
Okay, good. Go ahead, Ms. Tomlin.
Okay. Next question is, thank you guys for putting in all these questions, by the way. I see a lot coming in, so I'm just scrolling up to go in order. There's a question about the newspaper. If you write for the newspaper, do you have to have is there anyone here who worked on the school newspaper? Any of our 8th graders? Lena, do you know if you have to write your name to every article or piece you submit, or can you submit anonymously?
Well, I don't think anyone has done anonymously yet, but I'm sure you could just ask the teachers, and I'm sure they would allow that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have to ask whoever is in charge.
I think, yes, excellent.
Yeah, and I just want to comment on that is that if part of the question is what you're submitted vetted and reviewed by an adult, the answer is yes. So you can't just freeform something. It's not an open press.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Agnello.
Thank you. I believe this question is about the school supplies. So where can students find out what school supplies they need? Is that the question, Robert? I believe that's what he's asking, yeah. Where do you find out when you about the school supplies you need?
I believe that's on the school website.
Excellent. And we also have a question about student IDs. 8th graders, are there student IDs? Yep.
This year, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and thank you, Mr. Agnello. Somebody asked about the guidance counselor names, Mr. Santo, Mr. Agnello, and I'm Miss Tomlin, school psychologist. Here's a good question. Is there a lot of homework? It's a good question. Does anyone want to talk a little bit about that, Gracie?
Gracie and Isabel, go ahead.
So from middle school to elementary to middle school, I wouldn't say there's a huge change in homework, but I think it's different for everyone depending on how well you manage your time and just to not be too stressed. And as long as you take it like subject by subject, I say that you could get it done really easily as long as you set aside some time to finish. But it's definitely not as hard as it seems.
Good. And Isabel, did you want to add on to that?
Yeah, I was going to say pretty much the same thing. It's definitely different from elementary school, but the workload, but it's definitely manageable.
Good. And that's where the time management comes in. Go ahead, Lena.
Yeah, like about time management, it's not a lot if you manage your time wisely, but if you leave a long-term project until like the last few days, then it becomes a lot and it gets stressful.
Okay, good. I think that's good about homework. Go ahead, Ms. Tomlin. What was next?
Okay. There's a question about phones. When are students able to use their phones if they are able to? Does anyone want to talk about that?
Damanu, go ahead.
You're not allowed to bring your phones into class, but the only time you can use them is after school and during lunch.
Okay, good. No, go ahead, Isabel.
Also, sometimes depending on the teacher, I know in 6th grade for science, we would use it for like a stopwatch sometimes, but that's the only thing we can ever use it for, and the teachers are supervising. So.
Oh, and taking pictures of the Bronx River.
Oh, and taking pictures of the Bronx River. Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Tomlin.
Okay, excuse me. There's a couple of questions about what if you already have a computer or an iPad at home? Does anybody want to talk about the policy of that?
Mr. Agnello, can you just talk about that policy?
Sure. My understanding is that this year you will not be allowed to bring your device from home. Everybody is either already has or will be issued a Chromebook.
Okay.
Excellent. There's a question about lockers. If if they're not going to be lockers, where will students be able to keep their phones? I'm going to add on to that other personal belongings.
The idea, everybody's gonna, we didn't really talk about this, be kind of in like a pod for your academic classes. So you will pretty much stay in the same room for history, so history, science, math, and English. That will be, you'll be able to leave some things in there apparently. Some of those details are going to literally get worked out as we go through and see how things work. If we decide that it's safe to have people use lockers, we'll reintroduce. But the first few days, we're just going to have to, see how it goes, literally.
Right, and that would explain, Mr. Agnello just explains the question about switching classes in the hall, how would it be in the hallway? So that question was answered.
Right. Well, there are specials though. So they will change classes for specials. There's going to be directional staircases. So some of the staircases will be to ascend and go up only, and others will be descend and go down only. And there may even be a few minutes difference between classes getting out to move to the next class. So the idea is not the entire school wouldn't be in the hallway at one time as it would have been a year ago.
Okay.
Okay, great. There's a few questions about schedule, so I'm just going to group them together. One is, where do students find their schedules? When do students get their schedules? And do schedules change throughout the year?
I'm going to answer the first part of that. The schedules are being released literally any day now, even including the possibility of today. They will be on Infinite Campus, which is our student management system. And there's supposed to be a email going out to your parents again today or tomorrow with how people sign in to that, so that you will be able to look at your schedules. That'll have the room numbers, the times, the days. And I'll let one of the students answer the last part of that question.
Yeah, Cece, will you answer about how explorers change?
Yeah, each quarter, so each quarter you have a different exploratory, either health, art, tech, or computers. And like one quarter you'll have health, and then next quarter it'll change to art, and it'll change every quarter until the end of the school year.
And a quarter is about 10 weeks or so. So the first quarter ends somewhere in mid to late November, just before Thanksgiving, I think.
Go ahead, Isabel, add on.
This is just about schedules. For schedules, something that was different in elementary school is that in elementary school you get like a full list of who's in your class. For middle school, you don't get a full list of who's in your class. You can coordinate with other people and call them or text them and ask them who they have, or just wait for the first day of school and it's a surprise.
This is true. I also want to say about schedules, the first week of school, and this is for a lot of the questions, you will have advisory, what we talked about in the beginning, for the first week of school. Listen, not for the whole year. For the first week of school, you will have advisory every day. And your advisor / your teacher will go over your schedules, we'll go over the rules, we'll go over a lot about what we're talking about today. So if you have a question that wasn't answered today, or all of a sudden it pops up in your head tomorrow, your advisor will definitely be able to answer these questions during the first week of school, and they will break down the schedule for you so that you know where to go. So whatever you do, try to release that stress, because your advisors are there to help you at any given moment. Okay, Gracie, go ahead.
Also, since we do have a lot of different classes, it gives you a bigger chance to be with your friends and other people you know. So instead of just having the same kids in one class, you'll have a lot of different people. Although we're not switching every class, just our specials and exploratories.
Right, for your exploratories, okay. Go ahead, Ms. Tomlin, do you see any others that we can group together?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions about masks and whether kids can take breaks, and especially if they go outside, PE. And that's definitely something that is going to be reviewed with all of you in advisory. But masks are going to be mandatory, but yes, you will be able to take mask breaks. Your teacher will talk to you about that, as well as your PE teacher. But you'll be reviewing all of that in your advisory.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Are you allowed to have your, go ahead,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, go on, Mr. Santo.
To have your phone out at lunch last year, the students did. I think we answered that. Yes, phone at lunch. Gamanu answered that. So I might be a little behind you, Miss Tomlin.
Oh, and I'm going from the bottom up. That might be why.
Okay.
There's a question. This is another question that'll be answered in advisory about the teachers rotating. Mr. Agnello mentioned this, that classes will be in what we're calling pods, and your academic teachers are going to be rotating through. And then the exception to that will be the exploratory classes, as well as band, chorus, orchestra, and PE. And schedules will be distributed. Mr. Agnello, you said that in the beginning, right? In the next week or so?
Yes, there's a possibility anytime, even starting today.
Okay, excellent. There's questions about Infinite Campus and how students can get on. Does one of our 8th graders want to talk about Infinite Campus and what it is?
Go ahead, 8th grade, or somebody, you guys would know better than that. Go ahead. Gamanu.
So you can use Infinite Campus to see your schedule and your grades. I think you can sign in by searching I think it's on the Bronxville School website, but I'm not sure how you get there. I think you need to change your password for your account, but it's your first name uppercase, the first letter of your last name uppercase, and then 27 for 6th graders is your username.
I want to just jump in for 1 second. I saw a question in there that I want to answer generically. There will be students, they could be, peers of yours at all grade levels, whose families have opted to have them learn remotely for the first marking period. So that's a family decision. That's not a school decision. That's not a student decision. That's a family decision. So.
Thank you, Mr. Agnello. Yes, there will be extra masks at school if you forget them.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Going up the list here. Do we get to go into town for lunch?
Go ahead.
Go on. Nope.
6th graders are not going into town for lunch right now. I think it will be, they will stay in the first quarter. I'm not positive, but that's what it was last year. 7th and 8th graders are allowed to go into town for lunch.
Excellent. Okay. There's another question about organization of school supplies. Are we supposed to organize our supplies before school starts, or will we learn how to organize them while we're at school?
8th graders, do you want to jump on that?
I normally have like tabs in my binder for each subject and pencils and pens ready, but I think you can also sort of learn as you go which organization method works best for you.
I think in the beginning, for the first week of school, you come with the basics, and then each teacher will tell you the supplies that you need and what to leave home and what to bring with you.
Okay, there's a question about how will we be able to find our classrooms? That was talked about a little bit before. You can go into the middle school office and ask Mrs. Krieg, or the guidance office and ask Mrs. Denise, who's the office assistant in the middle school counselor office, or Mr. Santo or Mr. Agnello. You can always ask a teacher in the hallways as well. How long is lunch?
How long is lunch, Isabel?
I think we're doing the same times as last year for everything. So yeah, it was about 40 to 50 minutes, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Any 8th graders jumping in on that, or no? Okay.
There's a question here. Hold on, I got to scroll back down to class list. There's a question, are they distributed?
And Isabel talked about that.
Thought she might have. Okay. There's a lot of questions about will school be in person or remote, and we don't have that answer right now for the first week. Backpacks, can we bring our backpacks around? Okay, no, we answered that already. Your backpacks will be in your home-based classroom, and that's where you can keep your personal belongings. Have people been learning their foreign language since 6th grade? That might be a question from a 7th or 8th grader. Should we hold those questions for the end, Mr. Santo, Mr. Anello?
Yeah, any 6th grader, 7th grader, or 8th grader that is new to the district, we will stay on at the end and answer those questions for you.
Right, those that just moved into Bronxville.
Right.
Okay, there's a question, is there history class? Yes, there is a social studies class. Can you go home for lunch the first quarter? That's probably a 6th grade question, and 6th graders will be at school eating lunch.
How are the 6th graders doing? Let me see. We have some thumbs up here. Are we doing good, 6th graders? Thumbs up. Oh, I see. I got a Kendall with a thumbs up. I have where are some other thumbs up? Reese with a thumbs up. Oh, I want to see some more thumbs up here. Let me change the page. Oh, Alex, I see a lot of thumbs up. Very cool. Maggie, I see watermelon and a thumbs up. All right. Charlotte, that was a thumbs up. Beautiful. Let me switch the page, some thumbs up. Oh, we have a New York Rangers with a thumbs up. All right. Oh, I see lots of thumbs up. I'm very happy.
There's a question about recess. I know that's a change for our incoming 6th graders coming from our elementary school. There's not recess, but you are able to be outside. Some of your teachers might take you outside, when it's nice out, and during lunch as well. Mr. Santo, Mr. Anello, is that true for 6th graders at all during through the quarters, or will they be eating in the building?
I don't, that's gonna see how the year goes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll be able to answer that at another time. How many guidance counselors? 2 guidance counselors.
1 psychologist.
1 psychologist. And I think we've gone through most of these questions, and even if we've missed any, there will be plenty of time for you to ask in your advisory. You will have advisory every day that first week of school, and that is the time to ask your advisory teacher anything that's on your mind. If you want to keep a list of questions between now and then, that might be helpful too. But a lot of these questions we have answered already. So I think we're okay with 6th grade questions at least.
Great. Mr. Agnello, did you have anything you want to say before we dismiss our 6th graders? Not our new students, just our 6th graders?
Yeah, I just want to welcome you all, as we all do. I'm in the process right now of typing our email addresses in the chat, so you have them. If you want to ask us questions between now and the start of school, you're more than welcome to do that. And just as a reminder, schedules will be coming shortly. How you log in will be coming shortly to you and your parents. And for all new students and 8th graders, please stay on the line here, okay?
There is another question I saw about the nurse and the health office. What is going to happen with the nurse and health office? We have wonderful nurses that are the same for all through elementary, middle, and high school. So those that question, they will be available for you and your parents to ask questions and to visit during the day. Okay, I think we've gotten all the 6th grade questions.
Okay. All right, 6th graders. Anything else? Gracie, did you want to say something?
Oh, no.
Okay. All right, remember now, my 8th graders, please stay on, because you're my ambassadors, please stay on. And 6th graders, not new to the district, can be dismissed. And we will keep any new students, new 6th graders, new 7th graders, or new 8th graders that are new to Bronxville. So everybody else, give a big wave.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye, my friends.
Ciao.